We love finding small mistakes in Peppa Pig, and even more, we love sharing those mistakes with you guys. And in today's video, we're going to share some more mistakes that we found in Peppa Pig. Like in the episode, once upon a time, Peppa is reading a story to George. And if we look at the room, we can notice various items scattered randomly. And right behind George, we can see a cat drawing, and right under the cat drawing, we can notice a toy car lying upside down. But the mistake is, right when Mummy Pig enters the room, the toy car disappears. Even if we look at the entire room, it cannot be found anywhere. Seems like the toy car drove onto the sunset by itself. In the episode Shopping, Mummy Pig, Daddy Pig, Peppa and George go to the supermarket. And in one of the scenes, we can notice the pig family in the vegetable aisle. When Peppa puts one item in the shopping cart, we can see Daddy Pig cross the item off the shopping list. And if we look at the background, we can see they're still in the vegetable aisle. But the mistake is, after Daddy Pig crosses the item off the list, the scene switches to George, and all of a sudden, they're now in a different aisle. Within a split second, they moved from one aisle to another. In the episode Bedtime, during the intro, as always, we can notice Peppa's house, and on the right side of her house, we can also see the sun that is about to set. But the issue is when the scene zooms in towards Peppa's kitchen, we can notice that the sun is still on the right side of their house. But when we enter the kitchen, the sun can be seen through the window. This makes no sense. This is a logical error. In the same episode, when the pig family is having dinner together, if we look at the dinner plates, we can notice that only George has finished his food. Daddy Pig, Mummy Pig, and Peppa have yet to finish theirs. But moments later, when Daddy Pig says he's tired, we get another shot of the dinner table, and if we look at Peppa's plate, it's empty. I don't think Peppa was able to eat the entire plate in one bite. This is definitely an error. In the episode Power Cut, we can see both Peppa and George happily dancing to the music coming from the speaker in the family's living room. Later in the episode, there's a power cut and everything goes dark. And the family makes a cardboard TV, everyone is having fun, and then the power suddenly comes back. But that's not the only thing. If you look at the speaker, you'll notice that it's now facing the opposite direction from before the power outage. I think it was a small animation mistake, and not some ghost living in Peppa's house. In the episode where Peppa is building a castle for a school project, we noticed a weird error that hardly anyone noticed. Notice that when Mommy Pig answers the phone, as always, the buttons are in various different colors. In this case, the first one is orange, the second one yellow, and the third is light gray. The first bottom one is blue. However, when she passes the phone to Peppa, the button colors completely change, and the light gray and orange buttons switch places, just like the bottom blue button is now in a different place. Moving on, in the episode Grampy Rabbit's Jetpack, Grampy Rabbit decides to build a jetpack. And in one of the scenes, we can notice him showing his jetpack to Peppa and George. Now let's zoom at the jetpack. Here we can see a speed meter on the side of the jetpack. So far, so good. But moments later, when the scene changes and Grampy Rabbit is holding the jetpack, we can notice that the speed meter is no longer there. But earlier, it was right there. And that's not all. As soon as Grampy Rabbit puts on the jetpack, the speed meter can be seen again. Now this next mistake is really weird. In the episode The Pumpkin Competition, it's Halloween, and Peppa has been helping Grandpa Pig carve his massive pumpkin. But the mistake here is that the pumpkin magically changes in size. It all starts when Madame Gazelle announces that there will be a competition at school. Later in the episode, Grandpa Pig picks up Peppa, and she tells him that there's a competition to see who has the best pumpkin. Moments later, Grandpa Pig takes Peppa to his greenhouse, where he has grown a very large pumpkin. Now, look closely at the size of the pumpkin. As you can see, it is much larger than the door of the greenhouse. However, when Grandpa Pig takes the pumpkin out of the greenhouse, it fits easily through the door. But earlier, we clearly saw that the pumpkin was much bigger than the door. So, did Grandpa use magic to reduce the pumpkin size? In the episode Pancakes, Mummy Pig is making everyone pancakes. The whole pig family is sitting in Mummy Pig's magical kitchen. If you have watched our previous error videos, then you would know that Mummy Pig's kitchen is magical because things appear and disappear from thin air in there. So, here we can see that Mummy Pig is preparing ingredients for pancakes. Let's look at the milk jug, as we can see it is filled slightly above the handle. But after Mummy Pig pours the milk into the flour mix, we can notice that the milk is still at the same level as before. It seems like Mummy Pig has found an infinite milk glitch. In the episode Parachute Jump, when Peppa and George tell Mummy Pig about the skydiving thing, we can notice a fridge in the background. And on the fridge door, there are various types of stickers. Now look carefully at these two stickers, the A and the B. But the mistake is, when the scene zooms onto Mummy Pig, the B sticker simply disappears. In the episode Best Friend, Peppa Pig invites her best friend Susie Sheep over to play. We see them taking various toys out of a basket and scattering them on the floor. But when George wants to join the fun, Peppa doesn't allow him. Poor Georgie. Anyway, after this scene, we return to the same spot and notice that the little horn that was next to the green notebook on the floor has disappeared. Then we see it magically on the other side of the room. And that's not all. When the girls take the toys out of the basket, one of the first is a Jack in the Box, which even opens up when they take it out. However, after talking to George shortly after, we can see that the toy is no longer on the floor of the room, but unlike the horn, we don't see it again. Maybe the animators were a little lazy to clean up all that mess. Now, let's look at a really funny mistake. In the episode, The Ambulance, when Dr. Bear is giving safety instructions and tells everyone to watch where they step, he trips over a ball and rolls down the hill, falling into prickly plants. When this funny scene happens, we can notice that the ambulance back door is completely closed. But right after, we see Dr. Bear landing beside an apple tree with apples falling on his head. We see the kids and Madame Gazelle, but note that now the back door of the ambulance is open, but it wasn't before. Who opened that door since everyone was watching Dr. Bear fall down the hill? Immediately after, we see Madame Gazelle and the children getting into the ambulance to help Dr. Bear, who is completely injured. As we can see, Madame Gazelle enters through the driver's door, and the rest of the kids enter through the back doors. We see that at the back doors are Peppa Pig and Molly Mole on either side. The mistake is that when the ambulance arrives at the scene, we notice that Peppa is still there, but on the other side, and where Peppa was before, now stands Rebecca Rabbit, and Molly is nowhere to be seen. Besides that, Madame Gazelle, who should exit through the driver's door, ends up appearing on the other side of the ambulance without any explanation. It seems like everything concerned with Madame Gazelle is mysterious. In the episode Jumble Sale, Peppa's playgroup is holding a jumble sale to raise money for a new roof. Madame Gazelle asks everyone to bring something to sell. Peppa and each of her friends bring in an old toy. Later in the episode, we can notice Madame Gazelle, Mummy Cat, and Miss Rabbit behind the table, filled with various items. Now let's take a look at Mummy Cat's table. Here we can notice that a toy plane is at one end of the table, and a Jack-in-the-Box is at the other end. But when scene zooms onto her, all of a sudden, the Jack-in-the-Box is now next to the toy plane. But earlier, it was on the other side of the table. Within a split second, it switched its position. So, these were some of the animation errors we found in Peppa Pig. And as always, we'll see you all in the next video.